What's the most creative way you've ever obeyed your parents' rules just to drive them crazy? My mom demanded my room stay spotless, so I turned it into a full-fledged museum exhibit. Ever since I could remember, my mom treated my bedroom like it was her own personal obsession. Every Saturday morning, she'd burst in, clipboard in hand, like she was inspecting an army barracks. She'd slide her finger across shelves, checking for dust. If she found even one sock out of place, my phone was gone for the week, and I'd have to cancel any plans with my friends. I couldn't take it anymore. One weekend, after a grueling 2-hour cleaning marathon, I sat on my bed, exhausted. The frustration boiled inside me. I wanted to rebel, but mom was smart. Any obvious mess would only backfire. Then I remembered a school field trip to the local museum we just had. Perfectly clean, perfectly neat, and perfectly annoying if you did it right. I jumped off my bed, feeling a rush of excitement. Mom wanted spotless? I'd give her spotless, but I'd do it my way. At first, I started small. I made tiny museum labels and stuck them everywhere around my room. My bed had a neat little sign that said, Exhibit A, Bed, circa 2019, used primarily for sleep and frequently for hiding snacks. My empty laundry basket got a sign that read, Artifact, empty, due to recent parental intervention. When my mom came in the next morning, she paused, staring at the labels with confusion. Her lips twitched into a small smile, but it vanished quickly. Cute, she said, clearly unimpressed. She thought it was a one-time prank. She had no idea what was coming next. The following weekend, I stepped it up, way up. I spent hours turning my entire room into a full-scale exhibition. I arranged every shoe I'd ever owned in chronological order and labeled it the Hall of Footwear. My desk was set up like an archaeological dig site, complete with a timeline detailing when I last used each pencil. I even borrowed some velvet ropes from my school's theater club and stretched them across my doorway. Now anyone entering had to stop and wait politely until I granted access. When Mom arrived for inspection, she froze at the ropes, glaring at me through narrowed eyes. Sarah, she snapped. Enough games. Move it. Sorry, Mom, I smiled sweetly. Museum rules. Please wait to be admitted. Her face flushed red, but she held it in, breathing deep and slow through her nose. Fine, she muttered tightly. I opened the ropes, handed her a homemade brochure, and adjusted my badge that said, Sarah, Curator. As I guided her through, I described each mundane item in exaggerated detail. And here we have the infamous lamp, responsible for countless late-night study sessions. Notice how dust-free and polished it is. I watched her jaw tighten and her fingers clench her clipboard harder and harder with each exhibit. Behind her, Dad stood in the hallway, trying desperately to hold back his laughter. Are we finished? Mom finally asked through gritted teeth after 20 painful minutes. Oh no, Mom, I said dramatically. We haven't even reached the closet of forgotten clothes yet. Please stay behind the rope. Mom stepped back behind the ropes, fuming silently. Things came to a head later that week. Mom invited a few of her friends over for coffee, proudly mentioning our spotless house. It was her pride and joy, and she was eager to show it off. I knew this was my moment. As soon as I heard footsteps approaching my room, I popped out in my curator badge, brochures fanned in hand. Welcome to Sarah's Room Museum, I announced loudly. Please line up for the official tour. Mom's face turned white, then red, as her friends laughed and eagerly crowded behind me. She tried to brush it off. Sarah, honey, we don't have time. Oh, nonsense, one friend said cheerfully. It looks delightful. I glanced at Mom with an innocent smile as she gave me a look of pure desperation. I felt a small thrill of victory. For the next half hour, I guided the guests enthusiastically through every inch of my museum, describing socks and pens like priceless artifacts. I could see Mom growing more tense by the minute, shifting awkwardly as her friends giggled uncontrollably. When I made them all place their hands behind their backs to preserve the artifacts, Mom shot me a look that clearly said, You are so grounded. But when the tour ended, her friends clapped and praised me for my creativity, showering Mom with amused compliments about having raised such a clever daughter. Mom's forced smile barely hid her embarrassment. That evening, she quietly knocked on my door, clipboard nowhere in sight. All right, Sarah, she sighed, clearly defeated. No more museum. Just keep your room reasonably clean. Please. I grinned triumphantly. Deal.